All right, let's see here. So we're going to call this public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning, Deep River Planning and Zoning Commission to order Thursday, September 9th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. I'll run through the roll call real quick. Before I get started, I don't know if everybody's aware, but Bruce Edgerton resigned, and there's been some new appointments. Just quickly, Stan and Marion are now regular members. Mike Danello and Alex Strobel are new alternates. We'll run through the roll call, and then maybe at the end of the meeting, they can give us a blurb about themselves. So off the bat, Mike Danello, you here?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Jonathan Kastner said he was probably not going to show, but I'm asking anyway. All right. Alan Parody?
Here.
Stan Reinheimer?
Here.
Let's see. Marion Stay? I saw her on here.
She's
I'm
unmuted.
here. Sorry, I was muted.
That's all right. And Alex Strobel.
I am here, yes.
All righty. So I am going to seat Mike Danello in Chris DeRozier's seat, and I'm going to seat Alex in looks like Christie's seat.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
This is Christy. I said thank you. I'll see you guys next time.
You're welcome. She had to sneak out for something. Okay. Like I said, new members. On to acceptance of new applications. I talked to, oh, let me back up for a second. Neither John nor Mike are going to be here because we moved the meeting date. They had prior engagements with other towns. So there is a new application, but it's under new business. So I didn't see anything last minute come in. So on the public hearing. Item A, zoning text amendment application, self-storage facilities in the Turnpike Industrial District. Applicant 448 500 Main Street LLC. This continued from August. Is there an applicant here? Right. So I don't hear anybody here, and I know John and Mike have reached out a couple times to them. Planning and zoning is out of time to act on this. So we have to actually close the public hearing without a request from them. So motion to
Can
close.
we make a, oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry, can we make a request before the public hearing is closed?
For,
Basically, I thought that we had asked for a revised set of what they were proposing.
yep,
And I haven't seen it.
Yep.
So I think I would still like to see that.
I would too. The problem is they have not
Oh,
granted
but-
us an extension.
Yes, okay.
So
we have
we're
a
out of
problem.
time. And unfortunately, I have, EDC is here again, and because they're not, we can't have anybody speak on the application without the applicant here. So this is a nice predicament again. Anyway, we're going to close the public hearing. Somebody, anybody?
Can we wait
make the
a little
motion.
bit longer to the end of the meeting to close the public hearing, or
I
to the
can.
end of everybody else, just postpone?
We can do
in case
that.
they're late?
I was going to say that I know Mike and John have reached out quite a few times, but we'll do that.
Okay.
So we'll bump this to the last part. We'll skip over to item B, special permit application for ag tourism and activities, 574 Winthrop Road. Applicant Spruce Ledge Enterprises LLC, also continued from August. However, they sent an email a couple of minutes ago stating that they would like to continue until the October, where are we? 21st meeting, which because they requested it, we can do that. So that, we're gonna skip over that one.
Tony, do we need a motion to continue that?
They requested a continuance, so
Okay.
I don't think we actually need a motion for that. Item C, revision to special permit for restaurant and outdoor dining, 439 Main Street, applicant Robert Galbraith. This is the Rusty Rail. Is there an applicant here for this? Try and
Yes,
get-
there is. Robert and Joel are here.
All right. Just want to give us a spiel.
Do you have the photograph that was sent in?
Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
All righty.
That's the spiel. We didn't realize we had to come to zoning for this, so it's on the left side of the building. We clear rush out and put in some seating and a fire pit and a small fence.
Question?
Yep.
Is this in addition to the other seating that you have? So it's not taken from that seating, but it's all new?
Actually, 3 of the seats are taken from the other seating and moved over, and the
Okay.
area to the left where the fire pit is new.
Square footage kind of area roughly?
By 10 by 30.
Okay.
Is that the number of seats that will ultimately be there, or?
Yes.
Well-
How many total seats do you have in excess of the original special permit that you were operating under?
That to me, I'm not 100% sure what it was.
And the
Is that-
parking has remained the same?
I'm sorry.
And the parking remains the same with the added
Yes.
seating?
Yes. But we moved 3 seats from the back to the front. And there's a total of 3 more seats.
Is there a start-stop date for outdoor seating? In restaurants in Deep River?
There's nothing in the zoning regulations. I think we're also still under the COVID rules where you can just have outdoor seating. That doesn't end until April of next year, I believe.
But this application is for permanent seating. It's not being requested under the COVID regulations or exceptions. This is a request to expand the seating on a permanent basis.
No, I'm saying that if we had it, if it had to, outdoor seating had to end in, let's say November, that's off the table. It's kind of what Mike was after.
I wasn't here for the original approval. How many parking spaces do you have allocated? I know there's a building in front that's the hairdressers or whatever it is, but how many total parking spaces, and would this trigger additional parking spaces?
I think Rob got knocked out, so I think he got blocked out. So I'll take over for it. It's not giving. There's probably 3 extra seats for additional. The reason why we did this is for basically overflow for big parties, so we have a place to seat them, so we can get ready for if there's a party of 10 or a party of 8, and we don't have it ready for them. It's kind of a seating area for people to get to relax and sit back, and then we'll bring them over when the time comes.
So there's no food being served or anything in this area?
No, they can. There's
Okay.
no food being served. They can have drinks and stuff, but no food's going to be served there.
Okay.
It's kind of just a waiting room.
Just a quick question, when
All right, I'm back. For some reason, I lost internet, so I don't know if Joel went in.
Yeah, I filled him in, Rob, about the seating area.
I think Mike Danilo had another question.
Yeah, just a quick question, come when it gets cold out and obviously people are still going to want to sit outside. If we get snow and inclement weather, I know they park on facing the house on the north side of the house on the lawn. will you be plowing the grass for parking? 'Cause that
If
could be
that's,
turning-
if that's possible, yes. I mean, that's something the landlord is gonna have to, we'd have to ask that landlord that question. I can't really answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, because that could end up turning into a mud hole.
Correct. But that, like I said, that's not my, forte as far as knowing that question. That would be the landlord's question.
The other option that we've been talking about is to, our employees will park in the public lot down by Route 9 and then we'll pick them up. That's one of our options that we've discussed.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful that you guys are there. It's just, it's the entrance to town and, you don't want it to look like a fairground after a rainstorm.
Correct. Well, in my opinion, if there's a snowstorm and it's a mess, I don't think they're gonna, we're not gonna have many people anyways. And that area probably won't be, that top area won't be used anyways.
I think it'd be more on the aftermath of the snowstorm.
Correct.
I mean, if the area can't handle it, then, I mean, we're obviously not gonna use it because if it becomes just a mess, I mean, we don't want to tear that up either.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, I was also gonna reach out to the public here, see if there's any comments. So, anybody from the public wants to ask a question, speak in favor, against? Speak now.
I'd like to make a comment. Jane Samuels,
Hey, Jane.
24 Elm Street, Deep River. The parking was never adequate for this when it first opened. And when I was on planning and zoning, frankly, we were not told the truth about how long the hair salon was open and in operation. According to what we were told, there would be no conflict. And that's not the case. I don't care whether it's 1 seat or 3 seats or 15 seats. I am not in favor of any expansion of this business because the parking is not adequate.
Well, with all due respect, you're saying that the salon closes at 5. We have
Not
permission.
always.
Whoa, guys, easy.
Wait a minute. We have permission to use those spaces when they are closed. We have no parking signs up. It's clearly labeled, and they're also making new signs with the hours of operation. Now, we police that pretty regular, because there was an issue and we put up no parking signs, so people couldn't park and block them. But the landlord is having signs made up with the hours of operation for them. So that really hasn't been an issue because we respect their parking when they are open.
Right. Anybody else from the public? In favor? Against?
Tony.
Yep,
Tony, Pete Lewis here. How you doing tonight?
good, how's it going? Go ahead.
Excellent, sir. I am in favor of it. We need arts, culture, and entertainment in town. I think most people will agree with that. Parking is parking. For you folks that, go to Newport, you park down at the bus station and you walk 1.5 miles to get a $30 hamburger and a couple of drinks. It's a wonderful place. I've worked for the town for many years. I've never really seen a parking problem down there. The cars, there's plenty of spots out by the road where they can parallel park, and it's a straight sight line to back out on the 154. I don't see where it's an issue, Tony, and I support it wholeheartedly. That the town needs more cultural activities, and
Right.
certainly music and art, which is falling into place there, is going to enhance the south end of town, which always could use a little polish, or has always needed to use a little bit of polish.
All right. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome,
Tony,
sir.
I'd like
Yep.
to make one more comment. Jane
Yep.
Samuels,
Go
The
ahead.
idea of parking on the road
Mhm.
is a disaster waiting to happen. They have adequate seating for what they have now. They do not need more seating. Any more seating is not something that should be even considered.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Anybody else from the public? For, against, neutral? All right. All right, back at the commission. You guys comfortable with where we're at? Do you need more information from these guys? Go ahead.
Well, I was under the understanding that they were going to come back and give us more of a parking plan
Okay,
in an earlier meeting, and they were talking about somebody else, and maybe they can use parking from them.
Yep.
But I haven't heard anything since, so I'm just wondering what happened there.
And
'Cause I've
that's
driven
still,
by
a
it,
wor-
and it's
that's still a work in progress. Our landlord has plans for what they want to do where the grassy area is. And I just picked up the plans yesterday, the revised plan, so that's something that we're gonna submit. We're still in talks with some other people up the road, but we're something we're still working on. I mean, I don't think we've had a parking issue since we've opened, maybe once when we had a retirement party, but generally it's been very well.
okay. So,
I just remember in a previous meeting about the neighbors across the street talking about people pulling off in the yard and stuff like that. And, right against the road like that is kind of a little bit of a safety concern. And I've
So-
driven by there when the events were going.
Well, as far as I know, we have not had that problem lately. I mean, ever since, we had this meeting, it's been with the parking, we've been pretty well taken care of as far as people going in and out. I haven't seen anyone parking on the side where the grass is in a long time. Unless you see something I haven't seen, but I haven't seen it happen in a while.
No, it's been a while, but I'm just saying it's not to say that it couldn't happen in the future without the proper.
Well, we could say the place could burn down in the future. That makes absolutely no sense.
so,
I mean, my other issue is the salon uses the right-hand side too. So if they're pulling off the road too, then if that's a concern, then I feel it should be a concern for them also. Now, we've been trying to get our employees to pull back around and come this way because a lot of them don't want to go over the curb. With the new plan that the landlord has, it actually expands almost to two ways to come back around into the lot and out the main entrance way. His plans, I know they're working with you guys with that. His plans show that they're moving the handicap spot over to free up 2 spaces for an in and out up to that area to bypass going over the curb. I mean, if that's gonna be an issue, then with my staff, I'll just make it mandatory they can't go over that curb. That's not a problem. I mean, we can do that very easily. Just say, you can't go over the curb. And if they do, then I'll discipline them on our end.
so, I mean, so there's a couple things here. If these guys do want to see a site plan, we can continue this for that reason. It's part of what we do. It's health, safety, and welfare. But it's up to these guys. If you guys think we have sufficient information, we can close the public hearing and vote it out later. If not, we can continue. They're still within the time frame. It's your guys' call.
And just so you guys know, I am still in talks with the gentleman down the road to lease a piece of property from him for parking. It's just, the problem is it's in process with his grandmother as of right now, and he's trying to get the clearance from her.
Okay.
Through the Bartletts.
Okay.
I mean, overall, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I agree with Pete. There's nothing better than having another establishment in town for people to enjoy. Just always strikes me as you don't want it to look like a carnival after a mud hole and have that, you know, sustained.
No, like I
unsightly
said,
park.
our landlord has plans before you guys to actually grade that out and
Stone it.
put stone down there. I know he's working on that process,
Right.
putting up another fence. And like I said, I just got the revised plans yesterday. From,
Yeah, again, you
I
guys
don't
are,
know, I don't know where that is with him. I know it's in the works.
Okay.
yeah.
And as far as I know, Valerie Botto, who's the lawyer for him, has actually been and saw John about with the maps, the new maps and everything. So I know they're on file.
Okay.
So,
If I
Uh,
might make a suggestion,
Go ahead,
I
Jane.
would say this is something that you should not vote on until you've got the parking. This is coming up, or this is going to be done, or that's going to be done. Until you have the parking cleared up, I would say delay the vote.
All right. Thanks for your input. All right.
in addition to, it looks like we've got a application to expand the capacity of the existing operation. And under a special permit, there is a burden to demonstrate that you've got the facilities to meet the capacity of that particular use. Now, there have been alterations on this property made that have not come before the commission, which was an expansion of the physical facilities, which was basically a kitchen, which was added outside the building, which has a footprint on the site. And now there's expansion of the outdoor seating on two sides of the building, which begins to constrict the capacity, the potential capacity for parking if it's given up for outdoor seating. So we're kind of moving in a direction where we're asked to expand the physical facilities and the capacity of the use, but without a demonstration that the site can support that capacity. I think we're in a position of really requiring a site plan to demonstrate how all these pieces are fitting together. I understand that there is an effort being made to provide for better and potentially safer parking, but that's not before us yet. So in any typical site plan review, all of the pieces are reviewed together: the overall capacity, the impact on the site, the parking, the traffic patterns, et cetera. So I kind of concur with.
But I don't, for me, I don't understand what you're saying is because we're not actually adding more seats. We're adding like 3 more seats to the amount of seats that we have because we are taking seats from our original site and we're moving it over to that other site to have for people to relax before they actually can go eat.
All right, so with your application, if you can tell me what the current approved capacity is under the permit that you're operating under, and what is your proposed capacity of for your proposed use, and what is your current on-site parking, and what is your proposed on-site parking?
The proposed on-site parking is the same. The parking is what we have. If people can't come into the lot, generally, they don't come in. I hear people every day say the lot's full, we love to come. So it's not like we're like jamming that parking lot. It holds, I don't know off the top of my head how many cars, and that's what fits in there. We have yet to actually, maybe once or twice at the beginning, to be at full capacity. Unfortunately. So these, I mean, these are I mean, it's, I guess the question is, we understand, we're not clear on the special permit. It seems like every time we move a chair, somebody complains. And we're just trying to survive as a business to get people in there and make it more comfortable. Like I said, if our parking lot is full, we don't have any more people coming in. That's just how it's been.
Well, it seems if your parking lot is full, then people park on the street, and that's what was
We've had
discussed and recommended by, you know, applicants as well as Pete Lewis and others that say that that's a viable option. And if that's what you're proposing as the parking, that's what needs to be considered by the commission.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, am I responsible for where people park?
Yes.
Ultimately, on a state
Hold on.
road?
So I gotta back up. There's another aspect to this also, because the parking has come up a bit. So in the regulations, there's no parking shall be permitted on a landscape area. So the problem is you are parking on the grass. I know you say you have a plan that's coming forward, but in order for us to, you know, be all right with all this stuff and say you meet all the zoning regulations, we need a plan to see that.
It feels like it's just been a delay tactic once again, because, you know, we've tried to abide by every rule. We're trying to run a business. And when we come here, it's, you want more, and it always boils down to the parking. And like I said, the salon uses the grass too.
Mhm.
So if we're gonna be held to that standard, then they need to be held to the standard. And I don't think that that's what's happening here. Like I
So-
said, I mean, when our lot is full, more than, I don't know what I want here, people just keep going by.
So can you demonstrate that the lot supports the capacity of your seating? And that's kind of where this question is going. We're in a conundrum because.
Can
in regard to-
I ask you a question?
Sure,
Can I ask, have you been to our restaurant?
I have.
You have. Have you ever seen like where we have all the parking? Most of the people, like Rob was saying, drive by and say the same thing, that your parking lot is full, and it's actually not. Our restaurant isn't full, but we're most of the time we're at like 55% capacity in that restaurant because of the parking. And we're not sitting here going to tell people park on the streets, park here, park there, park wherever you want to. We don't say that. If the parking lot's full, they see it's full, most people drive by and they'll go to the next restaurant. That's just the way it has been, and that's the way it's been. We have not, I don't think we've ever gone to full capacity except maybe once or twice in the whole time we've been running the business.
I mean, our seating is more than our parking capacity, just based on what's inside. I'm rated for 49 inside the building. And we're either outside or in. I think in the wintertime, it'll all go in, which we don't use our upstairs loft because it's just not a good space. So our actual capacity is probably 30 people.
So, I mean, this is kind of the dilemma that we're having let's say you have 50 people. We don't have any demonstration that you have a parking area for 50 people, and that's a requirement. And there are people that do, they park next to the billboard or they park along Route 1. And I know that's not your problem, but we're trying to avoid that situation as best we can because we have to deal with the safety.
Hey, Tony,
yep.
Nick Kornacki, quick question for you. Is there a documented calculation for parking stalls compared to number of seats?
That's what we're trying to get.
That's what we're trying to get. Gotcha. Okay.
So my question would be, if we were to take seats from the back, minus the seats to put them over there,
Yep.
is that okay? So if I'm, right now, I'm capable of seating 2, 4, 7 people on that side.
Mhm.
So if I take 7 seats from the back
Yep.
and move them to the front. Is that an option?
So you're not gonna, so would there be no net gain in seating from the last approval?
There will be no net gain if that's, I mean, it's a nice space for parties of 5 to 7 just to sit and
Yeah.
relax. That's why we did it. So we moved, like I said, I would have to move 4 seats from the back
Mhm.
to the front to be neutral of where we're at, right? With that,
Yeah, I mean, that's, you have to, I don't have the site plan in front of me, so you'd have to run that by the CEO. Let me see if I can get him, because I know he's in the office in a closing meeting.
part of the issue we do have is the special permit seems to be throwing us off because I have another matter that John told me to ask you about at the meeting. Because I asked him a question about lighting in the parking lot. So I went down to say, we want to hang 4 string lights across to light up the parking lot. And he pretty much said, well, it's kind of not sure, bring it up in the meeting. Because the whole thing is, if, I mean, and that's what I want to talk about too, if we can, is we want to, the lights we have in the back, the same lights, low voltage lights across the parking lot, bring some light into the parking lot, because we feel that that is kind of a safety issue to light up that parking lot. So he wasn't sure if I need to go through a whole
You need a site
Special-
plan.
special permit too, because that's going to take 8 weeks, and that's a lot of the battle is the time frame to do something as simple as put lights up. So that's something we also want to talk about.
Is it possible to get the original approval?
I'm sorry.
Because there's a lot of questions in terms of, I mean, parking is related to square foot area of the building, not necessarily customers. And I don't know what original parking what they used originally, and it'd be really helpful if we could see, and then it might make this just a little bit easier.
In my understanding, when we started this, we had several conversations, and there's really no rule book on how to do this. Like, the trailer was just brought up. We went to zoning. Zoning said, go to wetlands. Wetlands said we can put the trailer in. So we did. Nobody said, come back to zoning. I mean, it's, we're trying to follow the rules. We're trying to grow a business. And it seems like, I understand that there are rules, but there's no rule book explaining how to go through this process. I mean, it took me 9 months to get authorized for entertainment, which I think is way too long. I still don't have it from the state yet.
And so I got an answer from John, and he said, if there is no net gain in chairs, then there's no application. To your point on the lighting, so I'm just quickly under our parking standards, adequate lighting shall be provided for all parking areas of more than 20 spaces. Commercial and industrial parking areas shall be illuminated at an average level of 1.5 foot candles per square foot. Lighting standards in the parking lot not exceeding 15 feet in height, except in parking lots containing more than 200 spaces. That's not you. A special permit is required for light poles over 15 feet. So are you hanging this higher than 15 feet?
No,
No,
And-
right at 15 for if a truck pulls in. So
Yep,
what
and
it's
then
gonna be like a string light pulled across the parking lot.
Yep,
So
like
if you
everybody
stand
has
there-
over their porch.
Yeah,
correct.
like
Over
we
the
have in
patio.
the back, we have the antique bulbs. we just, because our parking lot right now is dark.
Yep. And it just has to be, you have to shield light sources to prevent glare from adjoining properties.
Which there's really nothing there, so. Because they're the low voltage antique bulbs. Which, that's what we have in the back right now.
Okay. I think Nancy said she's going to grab the original application or approval.
Tony, can I just say something?
Yes.
I don't think anybody's objection to having them grow the business. I mean, in my opinion, I think it just should be a standard in town, no matter whose business it is or what new business or what existing business is.
Right.
I think we should set a precedent of things should just look neat and tidy. And that's my only concern. I mean,
I mean, have you been here?
yeah, I ate there the other night. I sent 4 guests down before we got there. Yeah. And they loved it.
Okay. I mean, that's what we try to do is I think it's a great space, better than it was ever before.
Oh, it is. I mean, again, I just think there should, you guys are at the entrance to town and that's a great spot to be in. My opinion is if Adams had a broken up parking lot, I think then they should fix that. It's just a.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want a mud bath over there either. I mean,
Well, I mean, you should put that on your landlord for him to do that. He's got a good tenant. And if he wants to keep you,
they are working on it. I can tell you that. I mean, we go to him when the parking lot starts getting to put the stone down. So, we'd love to have a paved parking lot there, but that's not gonna happen.
No.
You guys sound like you have the site plan. The simple thing would be, where I'm sitting is continue this to next month and bring the site plan in.
I'm not 100% sure what you want to see on a site plan.
So basically it would be the number of seats in the restaurant that are existing and proposed and the number of parking spaces that are existing and proposed. That's it.
We can do
You're adding
that.
3 seats.
And the location of the proposed, the
Fire
new
pit.
area as well as the existing outdoor area.
Okay, well, I think the photo clearly show that it's on the left of the building.
Yeah. She's just saying, it's pretty easy to sketch out on the site plan.
The last time I sketched it out, I was told I was drawing in crayon, so.
That's why I'm not drawing anything on by hand either. But if that's,
Actually Sharpie.
if that's acceptable.
We just, unfortunately, it's another month.
Yeah.
Can we go net neutral with the seats? Chances are I only used that section once when we did it and then we stopped when we were told to, but if we were to go net neutral on the seating and then do that, can we use that for the next month?
Yeah, if you pulled the chairs out and came back next month, you'd be fine until next month, yeah.
Yeah, if you look under
Is-
10.7 with in regard to changes to approved special permits, if there's no substantial change to the use that's granted under that permit, and that would be, for instance, a change in use would be increased capacity or additional functions. If it's a redistribution, you're relocating seats on the site, and you've met the same provisions, which by the photo you have, which is a barrier to your abutters. It's either a planted buffer or a fence, and clearly you've provided that fence. It's really you're modifying the same use that's allowed under the existing special permit. And I think that would be considered a minor modification, which could be done administratively. Now, the issue that we're wrestling with and the conundrum that we're in is that the original special permit was granted with conditions. And those conditions were a demonstration that the site could handle the parking for the proposed capacity, among some other things. Part of that was a letter from the other business on the site in regard to how that parking would be shared. Part of the conundrum we're in is that the way the condition that was placed by the commission on the applicant was met was by parking on the grass, which under the regulations wouldn't be allowed, but that was a direction given by our ZEO. So we're kind of bound to that circumstance and that condition. So we're not trying to give you a hard time. I think everybody here is in support of your business, but we're in a position of having to maintain the same scrutiny on an application for a special permit of meeting the needs of that use on that particular site. And so if we see an increase in capacity, then we do have to revisit the parking issue and how it's met, because we wouldn't normally approve a use that didn't have public parking readily available to meet the parking need that might not otherwise be met on the site. So if you look at the regulations, it's very loose. Most of our regulations talk about a maximum amount of parking spaces on a site. There is an intent to keep them minimized. But under a special permit, there is a provision that you meet the parking needs of that particular use on the site. So there's a different level of scrutiny. Now, since there is no published metric, if you said, the majority of our patrons carpool, and that you're catering to people in walking distance like myself, you can make that argument. But we need a leg to stand on that says that this business is not going to have an adverse effect on the neighboring community because of parking on the street or otherwise. So that's why I'm kind of asking if you can clarify your expected capacity. If that's staying the same, it's not a change of use, in my opinion. If it is increasing capacity, then there would be a burden to demonstrate, where 50 people would park, where there's 10 spaces available. So again, maybe that's maybe long-winded, but it's kind of trying to explain some of the history behind this site, and how we can come to an understanding that the site is able to meet your needs for the expectation of how big you want to grow the business.
Is there, we were just talking, is there a way that we could use that space that we have now, and instead of adding seats, just taking seats from the seating area we have now and just putting them to that one area? So we're not adding any seats, we're not gaining any seats.
I can't speak for the commission, but from my perspective, that would be minor modification. You're not changing your capacity, you're not changing your use, you're not altering your existing special permit.
No, that's it. I just want to ask that question because that's what our second plan was, that if we weren't allowed to add seats, we would just take seats from one side and move them over.
Yeah.
So we have one area, designated area for people to sit while they're
Yep.
getting seated.
I don't think anybody's against you adding seats in general. It just, I think they just want the parking issue.
No,
addressed.
which I totally understand. I totally understand. Believe me.
Yeah.
I think we would be, if we had a better parking and more parking, we'd be much busier. But because of the parking, we aren't. And that's something that we both, Rob and I both want to resolve, because the place could be much bigger if we had more parking. And that's, like I said, that's something we're trying to resolve. It's just, we're in a sticky spot right now.
Okay.
I mean, fortunately, we're going into the fall winter season, which we're gonna drop way off, so. I mean, hopefully in spring, we'll have more wrapped up parking down the street. Where we would put signage up and say additional parking at X. On that end.
Tony,
Yep.
I keep hearing all kinds of voices in the background. Are you hearing that too?
Unfortunately, I'm actually in the Rusty Rail, and if I go outside, I lose the signal. So I'm upstairs.
We should be done with this in a second. So I guess that's the question is, are you removing chairs? Or are we closing the public hearing, or are we requesting that they bring in the site plan? So
I mean, we'll definitely bring in the site plan. It's already been done. The landlord has a site plan done. Like I said, John already knows through Valerie that they're in the process of trying to get the okay to get that whole parking done properly. We're not gonna, if it's okay with you guys, we will take seats from one side and just move them over so we can use that area. And we won't add any more seating and we won't add any more traffic.
And then we'll do the site plan also.
Correct.
yeah, I mean, if you're not changing anything, there's nothing for us. I don't mean to put it that way, but that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I'd recommend that you amend this particular application to say that it's a minor adjustment with no additional capacity. And when you come in with a site plan with resolution to parking, that would be the appropriate time to entertain increase in capacity if that's your intent. Because those two issues are coupled.
That's not a problem. The only question I have is, will you allow us to use that other piece if we're not putting any more capacity in?
Yeah,
I think
that's what he's saying. It's
Yeah.
a
Okay.
minor adjustment, yeah.
Okay.
Before we go, what about the lighting? How should we proceed with that?
It's standard in the regulations. It's as long as it's not over 15 and it's low voltage.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd throw that in when you come in with the
Site plan.
with the site plan with the parking is, just an explanation, a kind of a detail on what that lighting is. And also provision that you're not going to have light trespass. I mean, you've got a butters. It just demonstrate that that's not going to be shining on, the residential properties in relative proximity. I think that can all be solved, and I would put that in context to the parking.
Okay. Perfect.
I do have one quick, somebody chimed in with a message on the chat. The existing bulbs are very bright in the back. I'm not sure where the back is, but apparently some of the bulbs are pretty bright.
they're antique, low voltage.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they're just basically the lights that you see like at your house or something like that. They're just they're like 5-volt lights.
all right. Ready, so if this is a minor modification, this is not for us, right? I gotta mute you for a second until I can't. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
So we-
and
we're-
under changes to approved special permits, it does indicate that minor modifications which do not materially alter either the special permit or site plan as determined by the commission may be approved by the commission without a public hearing.
Yeah, so again, but we already have the public hearing open, so and it looks like we need to close said public hearing. Or make a motion to.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
You, go for a second.
Second, Stan.
Thank you, Stan. Mike,
I'm good.
all right. Marion.
Hey, Joel, just keep baking those great Rubens, by the way.
Alex,
Thank you.
Yes.
and, sorry, Alan, I skipped over you.
Yes,
All right, public hearing is closed for that one. On to item D, special permit application, two-family dwelling, 61 Main Street, applicant Kevin Teskey.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey. All right, let me get your application up here somewhere. This is the one where he came in, we directed him that he was going to convert a single-family home at the other end of town into a two-family. Address is 61 Main Street. Anyway, anything you want to add, Kevin?
No, I mean, not that I haven't over the last few months, nothing new.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody from the public looking for a comment, question? And just want to speak in favor or against?
Yeah, this is Ed McCormick. Excuse me. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, Ed McCormick, 63 Main Street. So I'm the immediate adjacent neighbor to the south. I got just I got several comments. One is I don't think I received notice in the mail. I did happen to see the sign out front, but I'm glad I didn't miss it. So that's item one. Number two is we've had ongoing issues that predate Kevin buying the property. So they're clearly not his responsibility, but the issues remain, which is there's a shared driveway between 61 and the neighbor to the north. I'm not sure what the house number is there, but that is an existing multifamily that's just north of Kevin's property. They share a driveway that goes right next to my house with practically no buffer. I would say approximately 5 or 6 feet from the side of my house to that shared driveway. So we've already got traffic going from a multifamily right by my house, plus the traffic that would historically come from Salukis prior to Kevin buying the property. At my own expense, I've installed a significant amount of natural vegetation buffers, some nice trees and whatnot, but it's still very noisy, especially in the spring and fall with the windows open. Depending on who's renting adjacent to Kevin, sometimes there's police activity. I don't know if Pete's still on, but that's been an ongoing problem recently. So I am opposed in that I think adding yet another residence to that area specifically because of the driveway problem is going to be a detriment to my property value. I think the noise is going to be an issue. And I've been a resident since 1995 in the same property, raised a family there, made a lot of improvements to my house. I don't want to speak on behalf of Alex, but I know he's on the phone and he's made a lot of improvements to his own house. To the south of me, there's a home that's single family with an approved apartment. There's a much bigger buffer there. And so we've never had an issue with cars coming and going. There's no noise disturbance or anything like that. This is really a question of proximity. And I guess I would further state that, you know, this whole area of zoning where you've got 5 houses that are general commercial zone or 6 houses, where the majority are residential. It seems to me that, you know, adding yet another residence or another domicile, whatever you want to call it, in a general commercial zone would actually be less conforming versus more conforming than turning the thing into a law office or something where you'd only have people coming in and out during the day. So I
Right.
think those are my points generally.
All right. Anybody else in favor, against, neutral?
Alex Strobel here. I don't, I just want to sort of add to this is I don't want there to be a conflict of interest to be seen here.
Okay.
I actually, I'm new to the board, obviously, as everybody on this can tell. But I didn't realize that this was happening either. I've known Ed, obviously, for, my entire life. That area has always been a point of contention just with the traffic.
Alex,
There again.
I gotta ask you a question. So I take it you live in this area?
So I do. I am the neighbor to the south of Ed McCormick. Yes.
Okay, so in order to elaborate on this a little bit, if you have interest in this general vicinity, you should probably recuse yourself, which means you can't comment or vote on this.
Yes, and that's so. I guess my name had just been brought up by Ed, so I just wanted to interject here that I don't want there to any issue of a conflict here to be seen with me. So,
Okay,
however the board wants me to proceed, I will.
Okay, so yeah, we won't ask you to vote, and if you don't mind chiming out for a few while we
Yeah.
deal with
At the
this.
same time, this is a public hearing, so you can speak as a public member, even if you recuse yourself.
Okay, that's great. So, I mean, there's really nothing I want to add. The only thing maybe I think that everybody should consider is, as Ed had said, this shared driveway, which is in utter disrepair. Maybe some sort of concession should be made there, but that's all.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'll pile on a little bit there, which is, I know Walt Saluki, when he owned the property before Kevin and before he passed, had approached the neighbor to the north about moving that driveway in between those two properties. Or I think he even offered to help pay for a driveway specific to the property for the north, and the owner was never amenable to that. So, kind of reiterating, you can see, and I thank you for putting the photo up there. You can see there's probably plenty of parking to support the extra domicile, but it all does go right by my master bedroom. I've modified my kitchen window on that side so that I've raised it so that I can't look out. So we just get light in coming through like a transom window. Again, doing this stuff at my own expense. But obviously knowing when I bought the home back in '95 that it was commercial slash residential, I'd just like to see it remain as is, unless there's some way they could move the driveway.
So you don't think with a commercial business that you would have more traffic through there?
Not unless it was a bar. I mean, so I'm home at night trying to sleep or do stuff with my family, and that's when the cars are going in and out. And again, this has nothing to do with Kevin personally. He's a new owner. This predates him, but cars going in and out with the radio cranking and whatnot, and people parked right outside the house, yelling at each other and all sorts of fun stuff. I know I mentioned, I don't know if Pete wants to weigh in, but I'm sure he's responded to the neighbors to the north there. Again, not Kevin's problem per se, other than that he's, purchased this property that has this shared driveway issue.
So let me ask a question. The driveway itself, does it conform with current regulations in regard to setback or buffer? And this question is maybe we may have to request a site plan to look at our regulations, because again, we are looking at a change of use here. And so with a change of use, I think we could look at correcting any nonconformities that might exist with the existing property. So
Just cruising through the driveway thing right here. I don't believe
Yeah.
there's a setback to the side property line for driveways. I'm just double checking.
I think I just saw something about each driveway strip should be 15 feet or something like that.
That's the access strip.
Tony, isn't this in your new cheat sheets?
Yeah, the driveway standards aren't yet. That's it.
For right now.
There's nothing for a side setback. So that, I mean, basically in Deep River, you can have your driveway on your side property line. All right, so back to the public. Anybody else from the public? In favor, against, neutral? All right. I guess
got a quick question, Tony, and again, because I learned about this late, and I'm pretty sure that the sign said the town hearing was on the 16th of September. The sign that I read, but I went online and found that it was the 9th. What is the process? Because I'm new to this.
Give me 1 second. I'm checking the sign myself.
It does say that. I can comment on that.
Okay.
So I was emailed explicitly on, I believe it was 8/26 by John telling me that I needed to meet a 15-day deadline to have a sign up, and that the meeting was going to be on the 16th and my sign needed to be up by September 1st. So I followed exactly what I was told to do.
Yep. So,
And he gave me the verbiage to write on the sign. I followed exactly as written.
yep. Unfortunately, so it was the incorrect information. So yeah, we're gonna have to. I mean, I hate to do this to you. You are gonna have to repost for the next meeting. So we're gonna have to bump you because it was incorrectly notified.
There's nothing I can do about that, obviously. So
Yes, I apologize.
Kevin, do you know if the letters to the abutters went out?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Did the letters to the abutters go out as well? Because Ed indicated that he did not get a postal notification.
I didn't know about that requirement. I wasn't notified of that. I never heard of that.
Okay, that might be on the mail.
Let's do it. Of course, I'd be glad to do it. I'm not trying to avoid it.
No.
I just didn't.
No, understood.
I think during these new rules, mailings might be out because I think certified mail required people to, be in contact with each other. So I think the mailings might be out, but I'll double check that for you. But just so you know, the new sign should say October 21st. And I will get you the mailing information, whether it's required or not. And I do apologize. So with that,
I also would like to point out that pretty much everything stated had nothing to do with my property.
so
Yeah, and I agree with you, Kevin, and I mentioned that, but what it does have to do is that we're adding another family and, you know, potentially 2 to 3 more vehicles.
Okay, so,
So there's the challenge.
all right, so we're gonna just bump this because we can't act on it without the correct notification. So I again apologize, but there's nothing we can do about this one. So I'm gonna have to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is back to item A, zoning text amendment application, self-storage facilities in Turnpike Industrial District, applicant 448 and 500 Main Street LLC. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this application? All right. Hearing none, hearing no one that no one's here, we have not received a request to continue. We are, as a zoning commission, we are out of our own time. So we have to close the public hearing. So looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing for the self-storage facilities.
Thank you, Alan. Looking
I'll
for
second that.
Stan,
Sure.
Mike,
Second, go, I'm good, thank you.
Marion,
Yes.
and Alex.
Yes, close it.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, we are back to, are we on to audience of citizens? This is citizens can address the commission for items that are not on the agenda. So anything that is not on the agenda, you'd like to talk to us about?
Hey, Tony, it's Nick, EDC,
Hey.
Nick Kornacki. Quick question. I've been noticing a lot of ice cream flags, we're open flags, you know, the tall vertical flags, not a flag mounted to a building
Yep.
on an angle, but, you know, a ground mounted flag. I've been seeing them popping up all over town. Wondering if there's any zoning regulations around those. I mean, I understand that new businesses need that to attract, you know, attention.
Yep.
They're there, but I do think it takes away from the small town charm and appeal of Deep River, and just want to bring that up and find out if there's any, you know, regulations around those, timing and or location.
So somebody else had brought this up to John, and I know the answer to this is they have, so they have a 30-day window, I believe.
Copy that.
Most of them should be coming down very soon.
Okay, cool. Just want to bring it up. Thanks.
I don't blame you.
I agree with you, Nick.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Jane.
You closed the hearing on the storage units. Does that mean they have to reapply before that comes back to you?
Unless well, it depends on how the commission votes in a little while. They could vote to approve this. But we'll have to wait for that vote. So yes, they would have, if they deny without prejudice, they would have to come back with a new application. All right. Anybody else? All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes, the August 19th, 2021 regular meeting. Believe everybody got those. I got them last minute. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read them. If you did not, we can postpone approving them till next month. You guys' call. I personally did not have a chance to read it, so.
Anybody able to check the chat?
Yes. What you got? Will the tree farm question be added? No microphone. So they had asked to continue till next month. All right, back to the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read them, or are we postponing them?
Tony, I did not get a chance to go over them in detail and give me attention, so
Okay.
I would personally, I'm not gonna, I would with.
I'm in the same boat, so I think we'll hold off. All right, so item number 7, new business, a site plan for a rear lot at 60 Spring Street, and the applicant is Henry Louder. I have this hidden under here somewhere. Let's see. These guys are they were on Spring Street. We told them they need to come back with a site plan, which they done to divide the property into 2 parcels. I believe this is just for receipt. If I can find the rest of the application here.
So on the application, there was a lot of requests to waive requirements.
Mhm.
Some of them I think are probably don't pertain to their particular application, but I think the response would be that it's not applicable. Not a waiver of the requirements. And there's some of that were requested that I think we might still want to see. So if we could walk through that, and so I can get on to.
Yeah, just, let's see, May 17th. Two double lots, so they went through with that.
This is Kevin Lauder. We basically left this unchanged since the last time we were here.
I was gonna say, it looks like, so it's the same app, you put forward the same application with the request, but you gave us the site plan. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was basically the feedback we thought we got last time, was you guys needed to see the site plan.
Yeah.
And the map that we drew up as far as the lot boundaries are basically what we showed you in the spring.
Yeah. Right, since I don't have the, hold on one second. Sketch. Okay. All right, just out of curiosity, I don't have a stamped in receipt date for this guy. So when did you submit this to the town?
I believe it was last week.
Along with the check.
Okay. So it's just this, so we're just receiving this application for the next meeting, I believe.
It was the 31st in August.
So
we're just looking to accept this application for next month.
So with the acceptance of the application, though, are we granting the requested waivers?
I think those are all moot now that he has the site plan.
Okay.
I'm gonna cruise, I'll cruise through them again just so.
It's just like crazy.
Here we go. So the waivers they requested were a site plan application, which they now have.
Correct.
A written statement of use, which is on here. We intend to create a rear lot in R60 zone. Location map, which is, I believe, on the site plan. Property owners. Boundaries map. Building lines, fences, there are stone walls on there, etc.
But yeah, I'm on.
So the
Well, since I'm really able to do that without feeling
parking, loading, and circulation. I mean, is on the site plan, and again, I apologize, the site plan is a little bit blurry on what's posted.
Yeah.
But are there, on a site plan, there's an intent of having curb cuts or driveways to each of these properties?
assignments.
One driveway is already in place. We would be putting in a driveway for the rear lot.
Writing assignment for assignment.
Assuming through the 25-foot access strip here.
Yes, on the western side.
And if I recall correctly, the discussion was that that wouldn't necessarily need to be shown until that property was being developed.
Right.
That we can make the subdivision without it.
Starting to like,
Right, open space requirements, you aren't splitting into more than 2 lots, so you don't need open space. Signs and lighting, you're not doing any of that. Right, utilities are both public water and sewer. S and E, same, not till you do your actual house site plan.
Mhm.
Non-commercial cutting plan, so you're not logging this piece of property.
No.
You do have an A2 now. All plans will be prepared. Yep, it was actually an engineer or a surveyor and engineer.
Obviously, if it doesn't make any sense. that you want to move on. It is a.
That's it for the,
So there's no physical
Yeah.
activity on the site at this point, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the one that was of potential concern was these, stormwater drainage and sedimentation control, that type of thing. But if there's no, if it's only if it's only a division and no physical activity on here,
Literally, like, gives you a calendar. of when-
Right.
So like you can just open it, and be like, oh yeah, that's.
all right, looking for, I mean, if everybody's good with that, we're looking for a motion to accept this for the next meeting, October 21st.
So there's a.
I'd make the motion to accept the application.
there's
You,
a
looking for a second?
answer to the-
Second,
Second.
I don't know who seconded this first.
Give to Mike. He can take
Okay.
it.
All right,
thanks,
Stan,
Dan.
and,
Yes.
you know,
Marion,
Yes,
and Alex.
Yes.
All right, guys, and we will see you guys next month.
like,
All right, thanks.
like,
All right, on to old business. Item A, zoning text amendment application, self-storage facilities in the Turnpike Industrial District, applicant 448-500 Main Street LLC. So, I mean, you guys could approve this if you'd like, but my opinion would be to deny this without prejudice, which would allow them to reapply.
We know
I
nothing
agree.
about it. I'm not gonna. I'm not saying
You
yes
don't
to it,
approve
but-
this?
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, Tony, I think it should be recorded that there were a couple of items that were, a couple of things that were requested of the applicant. One being clarification of the exact language. We had made recommendations for change and a request to come back with those changes. The other one was a provision of support from EDC or from the public showing that there is a need for this in the town, because it was not something that was explicit in the POCD, that it's a use that planning and zoning it has been, is kind of charged with providing for. So I think that those two things will still remain absent. And so I would concur, I would basically recommend we deny this without prejudice, absent the requested material.
So that was your motion, Alan?
Yeah, it sounded like a motion.
Okay, it sounded like a motion to me too. Second, anybody?
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Still,
Go ahead.
I think Stan beat you. All right, Mike,
Yes, I agree.
Alan, Stan, and Marion, you got beat out of that one, so
Oh, yep, I agree.
I'm assuming you agree. And Alex?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. All right, item B has been postponed. C is no longer on here. And neither is D. Okay, so we have Planet Conservation and Development, which we're going to get back onto working on. So we haven't done anything exactly with that. I do not have a report from ZEOs. I have talked with them a little bit, and I do know that they finally have the GIS. They picked it, they paid for it, and it's getting implemented as we speak. So I don't have a date that'll be available, but it is underway, which is fantastic finally. Attorney, I haven't heard anything unless Nancy's holding out on me. Engineer, regs committee, that goes hand in hand with the Planet Conservation Development, I know that. Chairman, I have nothing. Budget, Nancy, if not. All right, payment of bills, same. Nancy, you holding out on us? All right. With that, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll
moved.
make the motion to adjourn.
All right, Marion, you got that one. I'm thinking you're gonna second that, Stan.
Sure.
All right. Mike,
Great.
all right, and Alex. Oh, Alan, I skipped over. Sorry.
I'm a
Yes,
yes
great.
too.
All right. All right, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you next month. Everybody have
All
a
right,
good,
have a good evening. Thanks.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank
Be
you.
safe.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
you too.